Good morning and welcome in Antwerp. We are glad you came here. We're glad, of course, with our award. Very glad with that. And we want to show you some projects. Some of the projects are a few years old and at that time they were more experimental. Now we learn from that, but it's interesting to show them. The walk is about 5 kilometers. As you will see throughout this walk, there's no standard solution. Every situation is different, so every time we have to use other or combinations of methods. And that's here as well. What's interesting to know is that the green department, when a place is reconstructed, like here, the graanmarkt, the grain market, the green department is on the table with designers and engineers from the really beginning. Even when there's not been drawing a line, then we're already on the table. We start with tree and root investigation. We make a plan out of that. And then we go negotiating with the engineers and designers. How can we solve problems? How can we keep trees? How can we make trees growing bigger than they already are, or getting old? So that's quite a challenge every time again. Do we do that with every project? Yes, we do it with every project. But of course, there are different levels of what we want to achieve. And therefore we speak of small, medium and large trees. So when it's a narrow street, of course, we don't want trees like this. Right? Then we speak of small trees, and most of the time we use then methods like making some more root space with, how do you call it in English? Boomgranulaat, tree granules, the lava skeleton. Yes, and so only 30% of the space is for roots. So that's not optimal, but it's better than nothing. The second most used system is the tree sand with the sandwich construction, with the boxes on it. And the bunkers, of course, that's very expensive. So we only use the bunkers when there's no other option, and we really want future trees in that project. So what's used here is a combination of the...
Here it's only sandwich construction.
Sandwich construction, yes.
With existing trees, the problem is you can't dig out. Mm-hmm. So you have to find a solution you can make without digging. And then the sandwich construction on the existing soil is the only option you have. Yes. And that's what we have done here.
Yeah. But here the root investigation pointed out that the trees had two zones with roots, one very superficial under the cobblestones and one deeper at minus 80 to 100 centimeters. So Jos and his team made an educated guess, right? And said, okay, it's not possible, when we reconstruct the square, it's not possible to go on top of the superficial roots, because then we would to go too high and the water would run into the houses. Well, we don't go that far. So they removed the superficial root layer, but at the edge of the existing roots that were deeper, they made a ditch, a large ditch, and they filled it with tree soil, irrigation pipes, aeration pipes, so to give the trees the opportunity to compensate for the lost roots with their deeper layer. And we hoped that would work. And as you see, it worked fantastic.
Yeah. So you can see it on the picture. The existing soil we have improved with popping and nutrient columns. Then we have the sandwich construction, and near the sandwich construction, dus at the end of the roads, there is that channel, and that's, you see it here to there. Here is a channel for the watering. It's all under the ground. Dus the sandwich construction, it's only for air, not for the watering, but because it's too high.
Well, one of the less bad things about climate change is we don't have much freezing in winter anymore, so they use less and less salt. But here in Antwerp, they're proud of using salt. They even put it in the newspaper. Yes, this year we've used so much tons of salt, as it is a goal on it. It's not a goal, of course, but well, for that it's very difficult to open and close the valves every time, so we stopped doing that.
And how many of these do you have in the city?
Nou, hoeveel projecten? Een project of 4?
Ja, zeker.
Ja, 4.
Tussen de 5 en de 10.
Ja, between 5 and 10 projects with these valves. Yes.
And so you need people to...
Yes, you need people to come here, open it, and don't forget to open and or to close. Yeah.
But the valves are not working after a few years, so...
Yes.
And like Christian said, we are always too late for the...
Are you using
And-
sand instead of salt?
In our parks, in the parks, but not here. Yes, because when they use sand, it comes into the sewer, and then you have another problem. Yeah. You don't get water as well in your in your irrigation pipe, so it's a difficult choice. Yeah.
And the groundwater is very deep,
Yes.
so it's the salt drops down.
Yeah, it drops down very easily. Yes. The groundwater level here is about in summer -4 meters. So trees don't have any water from below. Everything they have comes up, or what we give them through buffering, irrigation, etc. Or a good soil that keeps.
Possible from the good water from the roof?
Yes, yes, we have several projects where we do that. Yes. So we connect roof water because it's clean.
Yeah.
You're pretty sure that it's cleaner than what's running off from the pavement. Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's move on a little bit. The title of our tree plan and also of what's in here is Future Trees. So this is the emblem from the Future Trees. Not everywhere, but most places where we invested in the soil, in the root soil for the trees, and where the tree has enough space underground to grow big and to become a future tree. So that means at least he has to be able to grow 100 years. And the volume underground has to be 100 cubic meters. So here where you stand, it's all tree volume. And here we used 2 different types of systems to get that. Because when Jos and his team, they investigated the roots, they pointed out that this tree only had roots at one side. And at another side, they did not find any root at all. So the side where the roots were, that's that side, there they used the sandwich construction. So they kept the soil intact. They made it better by, is dat niet geploft?
Ja, hier, toen deden we dat nog niet.
Okay. So here they had the sandwich construction. At the other side, because there were no roots, they could dig it out, excavate it. And there they made a tree bunker. So this tree has 2 types of medium, existing soil and the tree bunker at that side.
Yeah.
Here we connected water from the roof to the irrigation system. But at that time, we had no mean of calculating how much water can we bring to a root system.
That's a problem to calculate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So together with our colleagues, well, they're not colleagues from the City of Antwerp, but the sewage management, Jos has made a calculation tool to calculate how many water can we and how many surface can we bring to the the root system according to how big is the root system, what medium do we have, etc. But when we constructed this, we had not the application was not there yet. But now we have it. So in every project now, Jos can say, okay, how big is the root system? What type do we have? How big is the pavement? Is it infiltrating or not? Have we roof water? And they can calculate how many water they can bring to the root system without flooding, of course, the tree. Enough to let him survive, but not too much to flood him. And it's a simplified system, a calculating system, but it works very good. When you work with engineers, they are all very smart, but you have to keep it stupid simple. That's maybe a contradiction, but often it's like that. And especially when it's about growing things. That's not in their mind, something that changes. Whoo! So you have to keep it very simple. And that's what they could manage to do. And it works very good. Ja. So, ik weet niet waar we hier nog iets moeten vertellen. Nee,
What
voilà.
are you thinking with the lights installation?
Yes, in the tree. Oh yes. That's for Christmas, of course.
Yeah.
And
It's
what?
the whole year here?
Yes, but it's what they call growing. It grows with the tree. So it can expand, and so it can stay in the tree for 5 years. After 5 years, they have to remove it.
Okay.
And when they remove it, they have to cut it in pieces because you can't get it out anymore. So it's lost. But that's a rule here, and they are not allowed to use other light material. Yeah. And when we have to prune the tree and it's still in it, they have to remove it as well, even when it's not 5 years.
By pruning anyway. Removed by pruning.
Yes, we had some cases where we did that, pruning without telling them from, oh, we are going to prune it. Oh, of course. A lot of complaints. Oh, all right. But that's always work in progress, you know. You have to adapt every time again. Oh, there comes something new. An artist wants to attach art in the tree. Okay, how are we going to manage that one? Okay, so, but we are very lucky here in Antwerp that everyone in the city who works in public domain knows Jos. So they know if we do something and we don't ask it, we have trouble with Christian. That's me. So it works very well. We're a good tandem. The street there, the trees that's in that street, Alnus Peti, that are our mystery trees. Because we have been telling a lot of stories about how we make efforts to create good growing constructions for trees, growing conditions. This don't have it at all. Even they had to cut part of the roots when they planted it because they couldn't get it in the ground. So we thought, well, these trees, they're all gonna die. Well, they're doing very well. So that's a mystery, but we don't tell it to our engineers. When we do, they say, oh, all this money, all these efforts for nothing. Look, it goes without that as well. So we don't tell it. It's a secret, okay? We keep it here. What's maybe interesting here, the first, when we plant new trees, the first 2 years we give them water. That's the reason why this is around it. And you see there the mark in it. That's because a lot of trees are given water at night. So when the contractor who gives water comes in with his lights, he sees it. It's reflecting, yes. Of course, he also gets it on a map, a digital map, so he can point his route and etc. But also for our own people, it's easy when these reflecting signs are in it. And every year has its own color. So white is from, I think last year, not this year. And after 2 years we cut them. We have 3 colors, so the 4th year, all the trees from 4 years ago don't have a sign anymore. Yeah. And we give them water every week now with this weather. Yeah.
hè.
Yeah. This square was reconstructed in welk jaar? 2018. Yeah. What was the conditions here? They wanted to keep the trees, but they also wanted to keep the pavements. So open space for trees was not an option. So again, we had to find out what's the situation of the roots and what are the possibilities to keep them. And here we have been working with the sandwich construction, so the boxes as well, but two types of boxes because the roots weren't everywhere, even superficial. So the zones where the roots were very superficial, we used the small boxes, and where the roots were deeper, we used the larger boxes. So it's a combination of the two. What's special here as well is that we have comparted the irrigation system. So it's not one great big irrigation system all over the square, but every ja, we zullen het hier even zeggen. Hoe heet een kolk nou weer in het Engels?
Squirrel, denk ik.
Yeah. Every squirrel has its own system and they are comparted, so they're not connected to each other. That is because what we told about the valves and the salt, it's used here as well. So we thought every system has its own valve and we can shut them down all apart. But we don't shut them down anymore. But it's still well, working if we wanted to use it.
You see in the photo, that's here. This one compartment starts here and it ended here. And then there starts another with so that way. We have the intention to start with
Sensors, yeah.
with sensors and with to do open it for to look. Dus in our new project, our bunkers have
Windows.
Yeah, windows.
Yes.
Yes.
Kind of.
for to follow up what's happening.
What's happening in the bunker?
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Because are the trees accepting the unnatural environment to actually root through?
Yes.
And we have little connection with the University of Antwerp, and they are interesting in what we are doing and what's happening.
To follow up
Yeah.
the system we use. Yes.
So
It
we
should be shared. That's the most interesting about
Yeah.
all these new techniques. They sound really cool.
So here, this was reconstructed 2018 as well. Before it was reconstructed, there was a parking lot at the two sides of the trees in the middle. With the investigation of roots, we discovered that there were no roots at all at that side. So again, we could excavate it. So it has been excavating, and there's a tree bunker all along.
on the road.
Of that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that okay. It's that kind. That's part of the street. And it's a very large one because it's all the way until the end of the street. But it starts just behind this statue. And the trees at the opposite of the street, those two big oaks are still in the bunker with their roots. This one isn't. From here they aren't. So now you start seeing the difference with the stress of drought. That the ones are in the bunker, well, they're doing better. They are in better shape. So the plastic you see is, in fact, is the package, and on top of it, and in the tubes, there's concrete.
Okay.
So it's almost a monolithic bunker in
so
concrete.
if you take out the soil, it's still providing
Yes.
the road safety.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So there's no pressure on the.
Yeah,
on
the compression is one thing, but the long-lastingness, because if we talk about trees for 100 years, the construction should be also. And
Yes, of course.
There were a
yes.
couple of plastic boxes produced, and I always
Yes.
think it's nice to put them in. It looks great,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure if it will last longer than 30, 40, 50 years.
Yes, that's
and
true.
then when the tree finally grow, you have to rebuild the road and damage the root system again.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. Yeah.
But that's perfect. So
Yes,
No,
we use
but-
as
but-
much, when it's possible, we always use the concrete bunkers.
But the
Yes.
costs are differently. That sounds like a very expensive
Yes.
engineering project.
Yes,
in the end.
that's true, but it's easier to convince an engineer to give some more money to something that lasts very long and he won't have to look at it anymore, than when you say, yeah, it's okay, but we don't know how long it will take. And so, yeah, concrete is easier.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's easier as well, or better as well, when you make it in concrete, the companies who take care of electricity, gas, and etc., they can't dig in it because it's a concrete bunker. When it's plastic, rips, and they're in it. So you don't want them to get in it.
So these are concrete foundations, and what you see here are the metal supports, which will be filled with
Yeah.
concrete in the end here. Is
The-
this right?
Yes,
The-
plastic is plastic.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's plastic,
Yeah.
but the concrete is going up and then going
Into the tubes, which are the
into the
stands.
tubes.
Yeah, that's
This-
true.
Okay.
Yes. It's dry here, so I'll tell something about the street we're passing through now. It's what we call the garden street or climate street. That's a new type of street we are constructing in Antwerp, especially in streets with not a lot of traffic, of course. And you will see that's a completely different type of street, although it's new, it's newly constructed, with a lot of unsealing of the pavement, so removing pavement, the green pavement where cars drive, etc. So this was a project, a testing project, but now we're using it in a lot of streets in Antwerp. And in some places, people, if they want, they can take care of the green in their street, and they can plant whatever they want. Well, not invasive exotic plants, of course, but for this they can plant whatever they want, except the trees. We keep looking for the trees. We just passed to the botanical garden. The botanical garden is about 200 years old, I think, at this moment. And it started as a scholar garden, but also as the herb garden for the hospital, because at the other side is the St. Elizabeth Hospital. And about 100 years ago, it came to the city. So it stopped as a garden for the hospital, and it became a small park, but a very cozy and nice park. The buildings you saw, very nice buildings. I didn't want to tell it there because you could hear it, but it's the most expensive hotel in Antwerp. I wasn't intended to tell something here, but maybe I should, because this square was designed by someone who had no knowledge about green at all, and it's about 25 years ago, I think. There was no communication with the green department at that time as well. Jules and I were working somewhere else at that time. No, there was no communication, so they made it, and they constructed it with these small trees, and what was growing under it, it didn't work at all. So we had to replace it every year. 6,000 plants every year again. So a year, I think 6-7 years ago, we said, oh, time out. We are not going to continue this one. We're going to dig everything out and plant it all. We add better soil and we start all over again. Well, that seemed not to be possible because at that time, the politicians who were responsible did not want that we replaced the trees. But when you don't replace the tree, you can't replace the soil. So that was a problem. We had to keep the trees and as well the soil. So what we did is made a concept of what they call prairie garden. So plants that are very adapted to drought and to bad conditions. And that's how we designed this whole garden again. So you see the plants, perennials that are growing underneath are doing very well, but the trees are in very bad condition. And that's a pity. We should have replaced them as well. And then we would have here a very nice place. So it's nice when you look, when you don't look up. That was our small walk in Antwerp. We try to show you how we work, what we do, and we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you have a little bit of inspiration, maybe you can use in your own work. And we thank you for the invitation.
We thank you.
You're welcome. And Jos.